How's it going, guys? Just waiting for for all you guys to join in. I'm gonna give this maybe a minute or two. Feel free to ask me questions or say hello while I get these other screens pulled up. Thanks for the thumbs up. Appreciate that. Welcome, everybody. I'm just getting some of these screens pulled up. What do you guys want to talk about this evening? I try to do these to answering your questions about, being an owner operator of the trucking industry in general. So feel free to ask me any questions about. Victor, you got a 14 liter doing an EGR delete. Fantastic, man. What year is it? Because I might have a good trick for you if, depending on what year that 14 liter is. You may or may not have heard of it, but let me know what year that is, Victor, so I can let you know. There's about $100 solution to your problem. If it's pre 2007. Okay, all right. So go online and look at the ugly fix. I don't know if you're doing this or not, but buy the ugly fix, and it's basically a computer chip that you plug into the EGR, or you plug into the side of the um, motor. It's on the firewall on the driver's side, and basically what it does is it makes the truck think it's at high altitude, and it keeps the EGR closed. And it's literally, they sell these online, uglyfix.com. If you look on eBay, Amazon, they're all over the place. I had a hard time finding them, but literally you just plug this thing in and it basically deactivates your EGR. Of course, for off-road use only. But yeah. Mustafa, how much can you make a month as a truck driver? Well, I'm in a pretty specialized industry, and guys need hazmats and a lot of experience hauling tanker, like what's behind me right there, hauling hazmat tanker. Guys are making about $8,000 a month to $10,000 a month, pretty easily. Well, not easily, but they can do it consistently. So it's not hard to make $2,500 a week. Yeah, Victor, let me know if that was what you're planning on doing, is buying that chip, or you're actually going to like hard delete the EGR. Because if you are, I mean, do what you want, but if you get your hands on that chip, it's excuse me, it's a way easier way to go if you can get one. I haven't tried to get one in probably 4 or 5 years, so I'm not familiar with the current market. What it's called, the ugly fix. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you can do that too. I mean, hopefully you don't have emissions where you're at, and you should be fine. Because yeah, that EGR cooler will give you problems, or it can still give you problems. Like I may or may not. I had an '08. I can't remember the EGR cooler on the '07, '06 because '08 is when they came out with the DPF filter, and the EGR on that was a pain in the. I had it active even though the emissions were taken care of. Yeah, yeah. I don't live in emissions county either, so I completely understand. Um, but I cannot um, deny nor claim anything if you know what I mean. Yeah, good for you, man. It should run great. If you don't feel like doing that, man, you can just get that ugly fix. It's a little chip. It's like this big. It's literally the size of a memory stick, and you plug it in, and it literally deletes your. It keeps the EGR closed. So I don't know if like you're looking forward to doing the job or you're planned, but maybe try getting that first and see if you like it. And then when you get more time or whatnot, you could do that later, or just do it now. It doesn't matter. Mustafa, you're welcome, man. No problem. But I will say, like entry level drivers, probably like 5 to 7,000 a month is pretty average. If you're like just starting off with not a whole lot of experience. So but either way, it's not really a big deal. Welcome everybody. Feel free to ask me any questions. I kind of don't have a huge topic right now. Just kind of going with the flow of things this evening. Ray, where is the best place to post a truck for sale? So it's a little truck paper, like this site right here. If you see it, I'll show you on screen. Truck paper is a good place. This is where we look for all the used trucks and whatnot. Excuse me. And but it is kind of expensive. It can cost like $200 a month or so. So basically, if you don't want to do that, you can post it on Facebook. But you gotta like join a bunch of individual little groups to get a lot of traction. And honestly, like because it's I don't really recommend that because every time I put trucks for sale on Facebook, because it seems like people are just like reply back to me. They're not serious, but they want to waste my time, and because it's so easy for them to just reply to an ad. So, but you can put it on Facebook. Craigslist is another one, and then truck paper is what I would recommend. But if you put it on Facebook, you're gonna get like a bunch of replies of people who aren't serious. Because I think it's just because it's so easy and accessible to reply to you. Whereas if you put it on like truck paper, someone has to physically, call you and talk to you, and that might deter them from just BSing you. I put 2 or 3 trucks for sale on Facebook, and the amount of BS I got was just unreal. Oh, my boss is looking for a truck. I mean, I had guys replying to my ads for somebody that didn't even know that the truck was for sale yet. I'm like, why are you trying to buy a truck for your boss or your brother or your cousin or your uncle or whatever when they don't even know the truck is even available? So, it was kind of wasting my time. I'd reply back to them. They asked me a bunch of this information on the truck, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, my boss is looking for another truck." I'm like, dude, Why you waste my time? Victor, yes, so I was losing coolant and I'm thinking it's going to the E-jar cooler. The turbo kept fluctuating. Victor, that sounds like a V-pod. Basically, it's an air actuator that controls your actuator valve on your turbo. Because those aren't, I don't think those turbos are cooled on that model. Oh, wait, they started cooling the turbos. But basically, I haul hazmat. So, hazmat tanker, uh, crude oil, condensate, ethanol, sometimes propane, or Y grade stuff. But yeah, if your turbo if your turbo's fluctuating, it might very well be your actuator. I've replaced. You usually have to replace those things every couple thousand, 100,000 miles on the 60 series. And you're not getting any coolant. You don't have coolant in your fuel, right? Or yeah. If you don't have, make sure you don't have coolant in your fuel. Because then it's injector cups. I think that's the way it works, if I remember correctly. Because we were getting a lot of. One of the trucks had, I think the driver was telling me that I can't remember if it was fuel I think it's coolant in the fuel. And then that's injector cups, and that'll cause you to lose coolant as well. Ray, thanks for responding, bro. I have a lot of people from the marketplace who just contact me, and it all BS. Yeah, dude, it is. And people like it because it's free, but free's not always the best, Craigslist is like $5 to $15 to post. I think it lasts for. I think when I was posting stuff on Craigslist, it lasted for a couple weeks. I think for like $10 or $15, depending on the area. So yeah, and it's sad because like I got a lot of guys that I know that are like, oh man, there's some good deals on Facebook. You should put it on Facebook, and man, you'll get that thing sold in like a week. And it was just nothing but just people contacting. Ooh, Ray, I have blow by, but how can I fix blow by? Well, how bad is it? Because it depends on how bad the blow by is. If it's really bad, man, it's not good. I mean, if you got a lot of blow by coming out of the top of the head, man, because if you have like really bad blow by, that's bigger problems. But if it's just a little bit of blow by, diesels have blow by. I mean, just keep running it, until it's either going to give and you're going to have some major engine damage. But I don't think nothing that can't be rebuildable. Or you might want to look at maybe doing an in-frame soon, depending on how bad it is. Because like my Detroit 60s, I felt like they ran so good, but they always had blow by. Like I can think of probably about 4 trucks that I had that motors ran flawlessly, idle clean, sounded good, didn't drink too much oil, and they all had blow by. Heck, the last one I sold, the guy still runs it to this day, and it had 900,000 miles on it, and they're hauling it, just some garbage little company, you know, that just doesn't fix anything. And I sold him that truck for, let's see, like $12,000, which is a kill. That's a steal nowadays. My old white truck that you'll see in some of my videos, I sold that thing for $12,000, and it had a little bit of blow by. And those guys are still running that thing till today. So, and I highly doubt they fixed it. I highly doubt they did, because they just kind of run garbage. Heck, I think that truck might be the nicest thing that they have, sadly, and that truck wasn't that nice. So, but yeah, any other questions you guys got for me? You know, feel free, ask me whatever. I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Figured I'd take some time, not doing much tonight, so jump on here, trying to upload more videos, trying to get on a more constant schedule, but you know, work's going to be picking up in the next week or so, and I'm going to be super busy. So it's going to be harder to do these live streams every week. Ray, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for the thumbs up. Hopefully that helps. But always, you know, consult a like certified mechanic before you do anything. Eddie, how much money would you recommend having to get a truck? Well, I've got a couple videos on this on the channel, but basically the quick rundown is after you buy the truck, you know, you can finance it. That's fine. Make sure it's not overpriced. You know, get a decent deal on a truck right now, which it's hard to find a good deal, but they do exist. The last live stream I kind of showed some deals on trucks, but if you're going to become an owner operator and get a truck, I would suggest having like $25,000 to $40,000 set aside into an account, and then that's after you buy your truck for like operating costs and getting up and running. So you want to have about $25,000 to $40,000 in the bank, like set aside in like a separate account over here. And then to buy the truck, you might need up to 50%. If you're going to finance it and you don't have any credit or good credit or whatever, they're getting, I don't know how strict they are with truck lending right now, but a lot of guys are coming back with they want 50% down, 25% down. Typically, you want to put about 10% down to 25% down, and that can run you, you know, so it's if it's a $60,000 truck, it's going to cost you $15,000, and then might cost you up to $30,000, you know, if that's the case. But I would still finance it. Like I wouldn't buy it outright. I would still suggest financing, even if you had to put 50% down. So after you buy the truck, you're gonna need about 25 to 55% down, and then after that, you know, stack up 25 to 40,000, or first stack up 25 to $40,000, and don't touch that, and then put the down payment on the truck, and then go from there. That's pretty safe way to go about it. That'll kind of protect you, insulate you a little better for me, like unknown issues with the truck and work. And, you know, sometimes it can take 2 or 3, 4 weeks to get on with the company after you even buy the truck. So, you know, just having money set aside for like little things here and there. Logan, have you ever heard of Wilson Trailer? I'm working there right now till I buy my first truck. We build lifestyle trailers in Yankton, South Dakota. No, I actually have not heard of them. But I see plenty of livestock trailers running around here as I'm out of Colorado, so I'm pretty sure I've seen them. I just wasn't familiar with them. So you're not too far away, just a couple states over. Yeah, I haven't heard of them, but Are you driving for them right now, or are you just like fabricator, manufacturer, or mechanic for them? Yeah, yeah, definitely Merit trailers. I've seen those all over. Heck, I buy a lot of their toolboxes for my trucks. If it's the same company, might not be the same company, but there's a Merit company that I buy a lot of my side saddle toolboxes. Hell, I've even got a video on my channel about installing one of those on one of my trucks, I think. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen a Wilson trailer before. I just didn't know it. But now you said something, I'll be paying attention and I'll probably notice them now. You know how that goes. Once you've been told something, you kind of start paying more attention, having an eye for it. Yeah, thank you for the thumbs up. Logan, I'm an assembler. We build them here. They only build livestock Wilson trailers here in South Dakota. Oh, that's cool. And so you're wanting to basically buy a truck and become an owner operator? Are you already a driver, or do you have your CDL, or I guess what are you planning to do on that side of things? All right, guys, let me keep an eye on the chat. Let's get into some trucks here. Unless you guys have more questions, hit me with your questions. I'll answer them. But let's not ramble too much. We got to find some trucks. So let me know what you guys would like to see. We pretty much established last video that trucks are coming down in price. They're coming in the right. They're going the right direction. They're not. There's not a whole lot of deals out there, but there are some trucks that are not bad deals, but they're not great deals. A lot of people are commenting, "Oh, I want to buy any of those trucks." Well, yeah, I didn't say like go out and buy these trucks. I just was saying to guys that I was letting everybody know that was wondering, that I showed them some options that wouldn't be horrible, like if you had to pull the trigger on them. So hopefully people understand that. I wasn't sitting there showing you trucks. Oh, you should go buy them right now, right now, right now. But I was just showing you that compared to what I've seen 5 months ago, um, things are, these trucks are 20 or 30% cheaper. Logan, Wilson just looks like the classic lifestyle trailer, and Merritt says cattle drive on them. My dad's owner operator and has 2 cattle trailers. All I gotta do is buy my own truck and then run with him, then buy my own trailer after that. Oh, okay, I got you. Did I talk to you the last live stream? Were you on the last live stream, or was that somebody else? All right, so this is actually kind of a good sign. I'm seeing some of the same trucks still for sale on Truck Paper, and this was literally a week ago. So that's kind of a good sign, because if they're still for sale, no one's buying them. And I'm just going down a list of sleeper trucks. I'm letting the truck paper populate whatever trucks it wants to give me. I just typed in all sleeper trucks, and we're just Mana. What's up, man? Yeah, okay, Logan. I remember you now. I see. I see. I'm surprised this truck's still for sale. If this is the same one. Hold up a second. We gotta look at this. If this is the same truck, which I think it is, for 15 grand, this is a good deal. Like, I mean, you might have to rebuild the motor, maybe. It needs cleaned up, but heck, I just bought a truck a few months ago that needs really cleaning up too. Um, I just can't believe this thing's still for sale. If it is for sale, I mean, it might have sold, but unless there's something wrong with it, this is a really good truck. For $15,000, you just don't see trucks for sale anymore for this amount of money. That looking at, aside from some of the rust if it has it, and the it's dirty, but we run on dirt all the time, so my trucks don't stay clean either. So I don't hold that against anybody, because why clean it when you're going to get dirty the next day. All right, we'll get off that one. I've done videos on that one before. Logan, personally, I'd buy a W900. I have a Coronado Freightliners, though. That's why I currently own it, and that's what I roll with. But if you're W900 or 389, I'd definitely go with a Kenworth rather than a Peterbilt. Mana, what do you think it would cost to get equipment on lease? I don't know. I think they usually charge like 10% to start off with, and then they're gonna charge you like probably $4,000 a month. If it's especially with the way these truck prices are. I looked at leasing trucks before, and it was going to cost about like $4,000 a month, and then they wanted like 10% down. So on 100, and a lot of times they'll only lease new trucks. They don't want to lease used trucks. So you gotta buy, you gotta eat that cost. New truck is 150 grand roughly, or that's what they're gonna price it at. So you're probably have to pay like $15,000, and then another $4,000 a month, and that might actually be low, because currently I don't know if that's like the current market or not. And this one's still for sale too. Like this 2007 W900. I mean, once again, as long as nothing's wrong with it, man, why are these trucks still for sale? I mean, if it's verified, it's only got 600,000 miles on it for 55,000. I mean, it's the one everybody wants, motor wise. Well, and it's got the interior everybody wants too. It's got the newer, updated interior. Well, if I can get to it. Okay, yep, it does. I'm just shocked these trucks are. That's good. So, state of the market seems to be continuing the same as it was. This truck looks familiar. This is a little too high, but never mind. It's not exactly what I thought it was. This truck here, 2008. It's already got a delete done on it. So it's got a C15 in it. Excuse me, guys. It's got a bunch of work done. New power steering, alignment, shocks, cab mounts, radiator. I'm gonna start selling I should start ask for commissions if these guys start selling these trucks as I'm showing them to people. It's got 1,000,000 miles, which I don't like. Not worth it. And it hasn't been rebuilt. Okay. Yeah, it's not the greatest of deals. Yeah, I like I run out in the oil field, so like Kenworths really take a beating. Basically, the for what I do, like I don't know. I mean, I hear Peterbilts are like, nice like highway Cadillacs, which maybe that's what you want. Me personally, they just don't hold up to what we do. You put a Peterbilt on a little bit of dirt and it gets scared and just starts freaking breaking, you know? And Kenworth, like W900s aren't the greatest either on like a bunch of dirt and like rough roads, but they do have beefier specs of them. Like you can get a heavier spec W900 and it'll probably do pretty well. But if you got like a show truck or any show truck or road truck and you tried to throw it out on the dirt, what I do, it's gonna get tore up, right? But for what I do, the like W900s are nice. I think they look better. I like the interior better. Like there's actually two cup holders, right? And that's pretty nice. That one stupid little cup holder that Peterbilts have is so annoying. And I like ergonomically, I just love how the Kenworth is set up. Uh, and the Peterbilts, like I mean, if you're just running down the highway, they're great, but like once you start getting on dirt and stuff, they just feel real loosey, real washy, and I've ran for a lot of companies out there that have had a lot of like used trucks, 600,000 miles, 700,000 mile ish trucks, and they'd buy like Peterbilts and Kenworths and everything under the sun. And we get those Peterbilts out there, and they just kind of didn't fare too well. A lot of broken springs and shocks and just a bunch of stuff like that. Back to home after 8 days from OTR. Bed feels so good right now. I bet, man. I bet that does feel good. Using your own bathroom's probably got to. That's the one thing for me. Like using your own bathroom's got to feel nice. Oh, what do we have here? So this is what I run. These are the trucks that I run, and this is a good looking unit here. Wow, it's heavy spec. Man, this truck is a little higher mileage than I like to see, but that's why I like my truck because look at these cup holders here. Like this interior is so functional, and it just works so well. You got a lot of space on the floor, in between the seats. You throw your lunch pail, cooler down there, or whatever. There's just so much space. That's why I like. Like the new Freightliner Western Stars, they have a similar interior. They kind of went a little bit different, but yeah, this is really good. Like the ergonomics of these trucks, at least that's what I found. It's all about taste, right? And I love them. They're there's 3 cup holders. You put your wallet in here, fits perfectly. I mean, it's just functionality wise, you just can't beat the Coronados. And like, not that you'd really want a Cascadia, especially if not for what I do, but those are pretty decent too. But I'm just a sucker for functionality. I like how something like functions, even if it doesn't look the greatest. And this cubby hole up here, it's so handy. Like all your permit books and everything, you just throw it up there, and it just works so well. Any paper, like when you put it up there, it doesn't blow out. It stays up there. There's usually like a net across the top. This turned into why trying to sell everybody on Freightliner Coronados. I should stop talking about them because just more competition out there for I'm creating for people to buy them. Logan, should you buy a W900 with more than 1 million miles? If not, then what is a good mileage range for a W900 as a first truck? Yeah, it's tough. I don't ever encourage anybody to buy over a 1 million-mile truck unless like they personally know who owned it and they know that it's, been rebuilt from the ground up. Because here's the problem is, everybody wants to sell you a truck for $50,000, right? Right now, guys are trying to sell you a 1 million-mile truck for $50,000. And they'll claim that it's been rebuilt or it's been an in-frame's been done on it. But then they'll tell you, oh man, but I ain't got that paperwork, man. And they start playing on people's heartstrings a little bit. And my wife, she's got this medical condition, and and then you're like, all right, man, cool, I'll trust you. And I've seen guys tell other guys, yeah, it's been rebuilt, I just don't have the paperwork and this and that. And okay, so then they buy it. That's the worst case scenario. And then next like 6 months down the road, well, it started having major issues, and go to take the head off, and your mechanic will tell you, man, this head's never been off this motor. So the guy was lying to you. And then that's like about the worst case scenario. And because the guy got rid of it because for a reason. There's not a whole lot of times that a guy honestly gets like, it's hard for me to believe, like because I've seen even guys that leased onto me as owner operators. I've seen 2 of them go through this. And then I also had just guys I've known throughout the years. They get sold a truck. They get told, oh, it's good, man. It's good. And then 6 months later, it blows a head gasket or has a valve bent, or anyways, they take the head off, and then they figure out real fast, because you can tell if a head's been off of a motor before. And the guys, a couple are like, yeah, man, this head's never been off. So the guy lies to him, and maybe one time out of 10, the guy, honestly, the truck was running good before the guy sold it to you. But 9 times out of 10, if a guy sells you a 1 million-mile truck and it hasn't been rebuilt, he maybe knows something that you don't, or the truck's starting to be funny, or it's not making as much power. There's a little thing, it's starting to burn oil, but you're not going to know that until you start driving it for the first few weeks, And the second thing is, if the motor was truly rebuilt, well, now you have everything behind, the whole chassis, suspension, brakes, U-joints, transmission, rear ends. Especially Peterbilts love to shit out rear ends, man. I don't know what it is about those. Doing what I do, guys out in the oil field and stuff and construction, and it's just because they're, it's nothing against them. I mean, those are usually trucks I see with over 1 million miles that people, get guys to buy them because, man, they look cool. And, the guy maybe made the thing look real nice. W900s and 379s. Those are two trucks that I see most guys get screwed on. So basically, say the motor is rebuilt and it truly is rebuilt and it's got 200,000 miles on it, but the truck's got 1.2 million. Well, the rest of the truck the chassis still has 1.2 million miles and the shit's tired, man. It is very tired. So basically, if you start, working it hard, things are just going to start wearing out. And then, sometimes that's a cascade effect. Things start basically snowballing. And then next thing you know, the guy is out of business because, this truck he spent 50 grand on, may or may not have been rebuilt. And then it's just nickel and diamond to death. Every week it's something. It's shocks, it's leaf springs, it's alternator, it's a starter. And like you're always gonna have like normal stuff, like alternators and starters and brakes, they're all wearable items. Those are all you're gonna be prepared for that. But when it's like a rear end and then a yoke and then a U joint and then you just it just starts piling on to some extent. And then a transmission, and next thing you know, the guy spent $40,000 on a truck, and it's not worth. It's just he spends as much money as he paid for it in repairs, and if he's lucky, he climbs out of that hole, and now he's got a truck that's been pretty much rebuilt by himself. But most likely, those guys don't crawl that hole. They just bury it. They have to turn basically turn in the keys and bury their head and walk away. It sucks because I've seen it happen to too many guys before, all because some suckers them into buying that sweet super trucker Peterbilt or Kenworth. And it may happen to any truck too. I mean, Freightliners, Western Stars, whatever, but a lot of guys won't buy a 1.2 million mile Freightliner. It's like, oh, that's a piece of shit, that's a piece of crap. And then it turns out that they usually turn their head up at a Freightliner, but then they'll buy a Peterbilt or Kenworth. I don't know why. It's just maybe it's a taste thing, but who knows? Okay, I gotta get off my rant, get off my soapbox here. Man, I had to deal with a guy. I paid him $500 down, and then I came to know that MBE 4000 engines are not good. Yeah, you asked me about this last time, right? I think was it you or somebody in the comments or maybe on a video? I think we were talking about this. It was a 2007 Freightliner Columbia with 1.25 million miles with rebuild by dealership, got papers as well, but he is not letting me drive. And same story you told me right now. Yeah, dude, he is saying his uncle got cancer. Oh, man. Yep. Look, tragedy strikes everybody and bad things happen. But with these situations, time and time again, man, people will tell you whatever they got to tell you to make you feel bad for them, Selling for 40,000 CAD. So that's like what, 30,000 US? And then you are telling word by word I was going to get trapped just like you told me. It's true, man. And, I don't like ranting, but I've seen it happen so many times. And, it's very unfortunate. So everybody that I can, help and educate, because I was very fortunate that it didn't happen to me, but it happened to a lot of guys around me. and it still hurt me because I mean it was still guys that ran for me, right? So like when their trucks went down because they were, positive because they overpaid for a truck, that still hurt my business. Um, but yeah, it's sad, and it sucks, but you can't like honestly, like when you go to buy stuff like in the sales world, you know, you don't really tell a guy like I don't care, but sometimes you just gotta be like, hey man, I understand you're going through a rough patch right now, but here's the deal. This is the truck. I need to know this, this, and this because at the end of the day, I'm buying this, so it's my problem, right? And I hope it wasn't your problem because now it's saying my problem, and I'm trying to figure out if it's gonna be a problem to me or not. And pretty much then or there, you'll learn real fast. Either the guy's gonna be pissed off and tell you to go piss off, and that's the best thing that can happen because that's just like, all right, cool. That guy was a joke. Or he'll be like, all right, I understand, and he'll tell you everything you want to know. But it's either one or two things. They get pissed off and call you a piece of crap and run away, or they start getting serious. But yeah, it's crazy, man. A lot of guys will play those cards, and 9 times out of 10, it's not true. I mean, I'm sure it's true sometimes, but and also you got to think about too. If this is such a good truck, right? There's this problem too that I run into, which I buy and sell trucks, so I flip trucks here and there. So basically, maybe some guys might think I'm full of crap too, but if it's such a good truck, why are you selling it? That's something that you oftentimes, gotta ask some of these guys. Like, man, this is such a good truck. Why the heck are you selling it? If it's been so good to you, and it's done everything you've asked it to do, why are you selling it? And sometimes I'll make up some story, and that's something you got to watch out for too. Now if it's like a really old truck, right, like if it's like this 2001, and then you see the guy's got a 2012 or 2015, and he's like, look man, I just want something newer, a little bit more creature comforts. That's understandable too. A lot of times you get sick of raw dogging these old trucks on these like on these roads. Sometimes you just want something a little nicer that rides a little bit smoother, like a Cadillac. Then go buy you a Peterbilt or something if you're on the road all the time. And then that's understandable. But a lot of times you almost gotta like become like a detective in a way and be like, hey man, what's the deal with this thing? Why? And then usually like the last truck I bought, the guy was retiring. He was not getting he wasn't getting he wasn't getting another truck. He's basically older guy, and he's like, I'm getting out of trucking. So that's about the best situation you can have when you ask, hey, why are you selling this truck? Or a lot of guys will just own a side. They'll like own a business that has trucks, and they don't need the truck. There's a lot of good reasons, but sometimes you just got to be careful. Like, why is a guy selling a perfectly good truck? And in my case, the guy was retiring, and it wasn't a crazy good deal, but it was a good enough deal that I was like, heck yeah, I'm gonna buy it because it might be hard to find another one down the road. Okay, let's see here. I got a couple. Let me answer some of your guys' questions. Logan, would you recommend going to truck driving school before I get my CDL? How did you get your CDL? Um, so basically, it's kind of a long story, but we're on a live stream, so what the heck, I started out with a beer company, like like the guys who deliver beer, Budweiser, Coors. Uh, I started out with this company as a helper, and like back then, if you worked on their trucks, it was like a summer type job. So I was actually going to school to become an engineer, and I just need to make money. So I ended up getting this job for the summer. Didn't really plan on being a truck driver, to be honest with you. Crazy turn of events, right? And I had always like driven like construction. I worked construction jobs and drove like 550s with big old goosenecks. So I was familiar with like truck and trailer applications for sure. But I'd never driven a semi. I really been around a lot of semi trucks. Well, anyways, they hired helpers to help them help basically be uh, like the driver's helper. So you know what I'm getting at. Like you got hired on to ride in the passenger seat and get out and help the driver and pretty much just be, you know, his helper, jump how high type thing. So I did that all summer, and I was a real go-getter back then, and liked to work hard. And if you worked hard and you're a go-getter, uh, after summer into fall, they picked a few guys to get their CDLs because they always needed drivers, right, to run the routes. So um, I just worked my butt off and like, hey, let's get you your CDL. So they basically trained me. They had a big yard out back. We practiced backing out for a couple days, and then I got my permit and I rode with one of their like supervisors, which he was like their trainer. He was like their in-house trainer. And I did pretty well with that because I had already understood big trucks and trailers. So they're like, they were kind of like pushing the envelope to get me finished real quick because they realized I kind of had a good, I wasn't scared of big trucks and trailers. So then you do your CDL test. So basically I went to a place to get there's a place locally that after you did your permit, you could do a driving test and then the inspection, and the inspection test and the driving test, and then they would get your CDL. So that's what I did. I got my CDL in like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I drove for that company for maybe 2 or 3 months. And what they did was so like, hey, we'll get you your CDL. So they did all the training, all that stuff and whatnot. And granted, I didn't need a whole lot of training, but that was still cool. And then if you quit before 2 years, they charge you back for that school. It wasn't really a school because the guy had a school that he trained for CDL and he had classes, but then for this company, it was kind of a weird deal. Now I look back at it because it's not done like this very often. The guy had a trucking school, right? But then this company would bring drivers in with their permits, and he would test them and get them their CDL, Class A, right? So that's how I did it. I didn't go to a school at all. I never sat in a classroom, to be honest with you, at all. Basically, my classroom was walking around a dirt lot with a guy that was like a trainer, and he basically is pointing out all the inspection items on the truck, and he's like, memorize this. And he gave me a sheet of paper. Like he gave me like two or three sheets of paper, and it had all like the items like to remember, like like make sure lug nuts are tight, the deflection on the belts, and look for rust, and like the pre-trip and post-trip inspection, check the brake canisters, check the rubber for tears and all that stuff. So long story short, that was my classroom. Was not in a classroom. I basically, and then we would after we did that for maybe a day or so, and then like that same day we go behind their warehouse, and they had a big parking lot with like lanes, and then cones set up, and for alley docking, straight backs, and what's the other one? Parallel parking. And basically they kind of just let, like, there was me and like 3 other guys. They just kind of just let us loose like kids at a go-kart track. And they're just like, all right, you get in that truck, you get in that truck, practice backing up. And we just did that for hours and hours. It was probably like 2 or 3 hours. We do that for maybe 2 or 3, 4 days. So basically and then because you got to, to get your CDL, the actual test is the inspection, driving and backing, right? So if I remember that correctly, things might change. This was 10. Well, it was 2010 when I got my license. So yeah, it was 12 years ago. Maybe it's 2000, yeah, 2010 or 11. But yeah, that's how I got my CDL. It's a long story, but you guys asked, so I'm going to tell you the whole thing. That's how I got it. And I actually ended up leaving that company 3 months, like 2 months later, and going into the oil field and making really good money. But I had to pay them back the cost of their CDL. Like they called it like the cost of getting your CDL, which they called it like kind of like a CDL school cost, but there was never any school involved. They just did on the job training, and then you went and tested with this guy who actually ran a trucking school, CDL school, and then you got your CDL. And I ended up paying like $1,500 by the time I left, but making $40,000 a year was cool and all at the time, But then I was wanting to make, starting off in the oil field, I made like $80,000 like my first year. So I was willing to pay them their $1,000 or $2,000 to double my income. And a lot of guys were scared. They stayed there because they were scared of that contract. So don't be scared of contracts either. Omar, hopefully that answers the question. Oh, Logan, basically see if you can't find, I mean, it is difficult nowadays because this sucks really bad, guys, because even this company that did this, because they had so much turnaround and turnover, they actually now require you to have a CDL. They don't do that program no more. So, but there's far and few between companies that will get you your CDL like that. But they might still be out there. I would advise that if you can, get on with a company that might train you to get your CDL. A lot of the beverage companies like Pepsi, Coca-Cola, I think they will too. Maybe. But then they try to scare you and fearmonger you into like this 2-year contract, and you have to pay them a few like thousands of dollars if you quit. But it might be worth it to cost of entry. Nowadays, a lot of guys are just going to trucking school and getting their CDL and then going and getting a job, which is fine. And a lot of guys don't know this, but if you go to school, a lot of times, like everybody thinks you got to like hire on with a company, they'll pay for you to go to school. Well, a lot of companies actually will do the opposite. So after you get your CDL, in order to recruit you and like get you to come work for them, as long as you work for them for like a year or two, they'll pay back your CDL school as well. So a lot of companies do that nowadays too, where they'll pay back your student loans essentially of your trucking school. And I think you can use financial aid for that as well, which is really cool. And there's a lot of grants out there too I didn't know about this because I was going to college for something different. I was going to school for something completely different, and I kind of fell into the trucking thing. And then, I was like, well, heck, I'm not going to finish my degree because why would I do that when I'm already making more than what I would make out of school with a degree? So I just kept doing what I'm doing. And then 3 years later, I bought my own truck and started my business, and it's been pretty good ever since. Last couple of years have been sucky, but overall it's been pretty decent. Let's see here. Logan, when you go to truck driving school, do you get your CDL when you're done, or do you have to go take a truck to the DMV and take the test and get your? No. They will get you your CDL. Yeah, so the CDL school will have trucks that you'll use usually, and then they'll do all your driving training and stuff like that. It's gonna be like a lot of classroom though, and it's gonna be boring. But you're gonna learn a little bit. A lot of stuff you've already been around, you're gonna know a lot of the stuff. But yeah, you'll get your CDL through them, and they'll provide the truck. So they'll have like CDL instructors, or man, I don't know what you call those people that give you the driving test, the CDL test, but they'll have like CDL testers that will basically give you your CDL test, do your driving test, do the inspection, and do the backup test, and they will grant you your CDL license, or they'll sign off on your CDL. But yeah, it's crazy to think about because I mean, even though those days are kind of how I did it, it's kind of gone away. But there's options out there, and unfortunately, the prices have gone from like. So I paid 2,000. It was like $2,000 if I quit with like. Let's see here. When I got my CDL, they charged me like $1,500. It was in between $1,500 and $2,000, and that was the cost of getting a CDL, is what they deemed. And if I stayed for a year, it'd be like $1,000. So I left in like 3 months. So I had to pay like the full amount. And then back then, trucking schools were like $3,000 to $4,000. I don't know if I talked to any of them or not. I did go into a trucking school at one point in time and asked them some questions. And the crazy thing was the oil field was booming back then. So they were telling me that if I got my CDL, Halliburton would pick me up and take me like right away, and you'd be making $80,000 a year, which was true. There's just so much demand for that industry. But now the trucking cost it's like $5,000 to $8,000 now. So it's pretty expensive now. And they just put a lot of filler classroom time into it, is what I've heard. I've personally never been to a trucking school, so I don't even know what they do. But from what I hear, guys tell me that you sit in a classroom for like 80 hours a week. And I'm like, what? Or 40 hours a week for like 4 weeks. And then I think it's not until like the last couple of weeks that you actually go out and drive. And I'm like, what the heck? I mean, holy crap, they're giving you a lot of filler for, a few weeks of classroom time. Logan, okay, good to know. I'll probably go to school in Sioux Falls, or there's a private school here in Yankton. Yeah, man. Get in wherever you fit in. Go talk to them and feel them out. And private schools are good. The one I think it was considered a private school. It was a small guy. I think he still does it too. Maybe. Actually, don't quote me on that. He might not. But he does like motorcycle testing and all that stuff too. Which is kind of funny because I took my motorcycle test first with him. And then I come back like 6 months later and I'm taking a CDL test. It's just funny how things happen like that. Yeah, that was a long, drawn-out answer, but it was a long, drawn-out, story. So let's see. Omar, currently looking at a 2016 Freightliner, Cascadia, sleeper, 10-speed, 630,000 miles for $48,000 from dealership in Texas. I say it's a good deal. What do you think? Thanks. It sounds like an okay deal. It doesn't sound horrible. But you got to go check it out, Go look at it. Make sure there's nothing wrong with it. Make sure it looks as good as it does in the pictures. I could tell you it's a good truck all day long, but then you can go down there and look at it and something's not right. And, panels are, falling off it, and you could drive it and it could drive like a total turd. So on paper, it does sound like an okay deal. To give you some type of context here, you might have to have some repairs done on that thing, because it might hold up, but dang, man, it's gonna take a beating for sure. So I bought my first truck for $40,000, and it was a 2008 Freightliner Century, and it had 600 something thousand miles. So given, all this inflated costs and whatnot, and it was, let's see, 2008, this was in 2014. So it's about 6 years old, if I'm doing my math right. This is about 6 years old as well. So you're paying like 6,000 more than what I paid for my first truck. And as long as it checks out, it was same truck. It was just the older version. The Century was the older version at Cascadia, 10 speed, uh, everything. Yeah, sleeper it had a like a flatter top sleeper. It's on my YouTube channel. The white truck, I do a lot of repair videos. That was my first truck that I ever bought, and well, I done sold it about a year or two ago. But yeah, man, it sounds like an okay deal. You just got to go down there and make sure it is what they say it is. And then if you're running the West Texas oil fields, man, those are rough. Those oil fields out there are rough. So you might need to be prepared to potentially doing some repairs. You're gonna find some weak spots, radiators. Unless they fix them for the Cascadia, I would go through radiator every couple of years. Um, so yeah, radiators go out, and a lot of guys have like airbags and some suspension things that go, but I didn't really have that problem until I started hauling real heavy loads, like big tankers, like triple axle tankers. But when I was running tandem, just like 80,000 pounds, 85,000, I was okay. Once I started hauling like over 100,000 pounds, the truck took it, but it didn't like it too much. Logan, have you ever been to South Dakota? It's pretty boring here. I want to move to Colorado and haul for JBS. Uh, I I don't know if I've been there or not. Um, I mean, I understand what you mean. I mean, I've been to North Dakota, I've been to Montana, I've been to Wyoming, uh, so Nebraska. I think I've been all around there, but I haven't really been to South Dakota. Maybe I've driven through there, but no, I've not really ever been there. I can imagine it's probably boring there. Yeah, Omar, no problem. Happy to help. But yeah, it's expensive here, man. That's the only downfall. Like, and part of the state's going real woke. So, but if you stay on the east side, eastern part of the state, it's pretty good. Um, like Greeley and east of Greeley, north of Greeley is fine. I'm north of Greeley a little bit, but yeah, it's nice here. There's things to do, but it's just dang, it's expensive. But I think prices are going down in real estate too. I mean, seems like it may take a while for it to really go down substantially, but things are cooling off in that market as well. All right, let's continue with some trucks, shall we? You guys are enjoying this? Let me know. Um, so I'm seeing some of the same trucks for sale, and I'm seeing some new trucks, not new, but I'm seeing new inventory or used new inventory, however you want to say that I didn't see last week. I mean, I'm only like the first page in, so that might not be the best, the best descriptor of that. But I've already first page. I'm already a lot of these trucks are still for sale that were for sale last week, or I'm 2 pages in. So that's a good sign because if they're not selling, then the prices are going to be coming down, or you could make a deal. And then I'm seeing trucks that I didn't see a week ago. So there's inventory coming in, which is good. Just seeing what I see here. these trucks are. Yeah, as always, guys, feel free to ask me any questions or whatnot. You know, let's try something. Let's put the lowest price to the highest price and see what we can't see. Because we did this before, like 5 or 6 months ago, and it was atrocious. Like the cheapest trucks were just absolute garbage, and they were asking like 30 to 40,000 for a pile of crap that should only cost like 10 or 15. Let's see here. See what we can find in the. So this is a cheapest trucks on truck paper, sleeper trucks. Not doing day cabs is, from what I understand, most of you guys aren't local anyways. And we need more than one axle. See if I find anything interesting or anything that looks good. I don't know what the deal with Volvo is. I didn't know Volvos came with Detroit. I guess that makes sense, but there's always like really cheap Volvos. And I don't understand that because Ahmed, what's going on? You've been looking for a truck for 5 months. Well, you might find some decent ones coming up here soon. I'm already finding good deals, so things are going the right direction. You might be at the end of your search here soon. But yeah, guys, here's a truck 15,000 engine failure. Yeah, most of these trucks are. I just do not know enough about the Volvos to even give you any type of reference there. Well, dang man, for 60K, there are some deals out there, but I just be patient, man. Prices are coming down, and there are a few good deals. There are a few like okay deals out there right now. Not great, but okay. But yeah, like the Volvo thing, like there's like there's always like a lot of like really high mileage like Mercedes and Audis for sale, and then guys buy them because they think they're gonna make them look fly, or like big pimping, and then they're just absolute turds because like there's a reason why nobody bought it and why it was so cheap, but because it had like a Mercedes or a BMW or Audi emblem, they bought it. And I can say that because someone in my family used to do that. They buy these super high mileage like Audis and BMWs. Well, dang, this is I like this. Well, not for trucking, but for like a toy hauler. If there's 7 of these available, man, these are over 1,000,000 miles though. But for $15,000, if they're okay interiors, 10 speeds, and Detroit 60 series. You might have to do some work to the. This is just for. I'm just looking at this for. Oh no, they have DD15s in them. Oh, never mind. I don't think you want an early DD15, like 2008. Never mind. All right, we're keeping down the list. Let's see, Logan. Do you ever visit Denver? I heard that Denver and the Springs area is great. Yeah, man, Denver's fun. I don't. So it's gotten kind of woke. You know what I'm saying. And I don't go down there too much, but it's fun to go down there every now and again. Uh, we used to like before this whole craziness happened. The like cerveza sickness and all that. We used to go down there a lot, like on like the weekends, like and go get something to eat or whatnot. I mean, I have to go down there a lot to get parts for my truck, because there's a Freightliner dealer uh, in Brighton, and then there's also another truck place that's off I-70. So I end up going down there a lot for business, and then like I just got a new pickup that electric truck, so picked that up in Denver, and on our way back we stopped and got something to eat. And Colorado Springs is nice too. We used to actually just go take like weekend trips down there. We go down there and stay the night somewhere, and just kind of hang out. It's fun. I say like Denver and Colorado Springs. You can definitely like go there on a whim and find something to do, or at least a couple good restaurants to try. And then there's enough stuff to find to do. Whether it's just like going to walk around a park or you know there's a lot of there is that, which is fun. That's why I like it up here, because like I'm 45. I'm 50 minutes, 50 to I'm like 45 minutes to an hour away from Denver. So like if I want to go do something, I'm not too far away. But then and I'm like 2.5 hours away from Colorado Springs, maybe 2 hours. It might not even be that far. So it's nice to be far enough away from the crazy city and all the craziness that happens there and all their craziness of their way of thinking, but then you can kind of go there on the weekends if there's something going on. Amen. The miles higher. Let's see. Do you think the market is going down? Yes, yeah, like currently I'm watching it go down in front of me. Uh, yes, it's going down, and I think it's going to continue to go down because these are assets just like anything else. So they're going to have to keep going down because people can't afford to buy trucks to go make a living. Yeah, think about it too. Like these companies can't afford to keep buying trucks at these inflated prices either. Let's see here. I don't find anything too great. I mean, we're at $20,000, and the price goes up as we go further down. I haven't found anything too impressive yet. Logan, yeah, I used to actually live in the mountains, so I actually grew up in the mountains or on the foothills. So yes, I've been in the mountains many times. Uh, national to the Colorado national parks. Estes is great. Um, we used to go snowboarding, when I like as kids all the time. So I've been to like Copper Mountain and Vale, Aspen. But like back then though, the crazy thing is like back then, like the mountain towns were for like hippies and like kind of like stoner like hipsters, right? So like ski bums is what they used to call them. Like you used to go to the mountain towns and go skiing. Is kind of like it's kind of like for like not that rich of people. Like you do it on the cheap, right? Like it's funny because you mentioned Vale. So when I was growing up, Vale was like I don't know, it was like the off-brand ski resort to go to. Like Vale was like not the greatest, and it had a lot of backcountry stuff, and that's what drew people to it. But it was like, oh, you're going to Vale, like, oh, okay, that's cool. And like they'd be like, well, we're going to Breckenridge, we're going to Copper. These are the other like really really like famous and popular ski resorts. And now it's like completely flipped. Like I remember like 10 years ago, someone was telling me about Vail, and they're telling me how like Vail's like this premier, like most expensive like ski resort now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was a place nobody wanted to go before. Like that was like the bummy town that like it was just a bunch of stoners and like hipster people up there skiing and snowboarding, like like the nice places go was like Aspen, Copper Mountain, Breckenridge, like Eldora is another one. Eldora is a lot lower end one too, but so was Vale. So I wonder if Eldora is going to become like I'm getting way over. I mean, those the people who know about ski resorts and stuff. But yeah, so it's funny that Vale like used to be this kind of like bummy, like just like hippie, like mountain town, and now it's like this like world renowned destination. It kind of changed real fast. It's like when that there's a city that was like the ghetto, but then like they built it up, and now it's not the ghetto anymore. That's kind of how Vale was. So it's kind of funny that it went down like that there. Yeah, it's cool, man. Like, that's like, when people come to visit, you always take them to the mountains. We got a lot of people in the family that like have never seen snow or the mountains, and it's like they like blows their mind, right? But for me, I've grown up in the mountains my whole life, so it's kind of like me with the ocean is like how a lot of people are with the mountains. I'd never seen ocean before, and then my girl's from Florida, so she grew up around the ocean her whole life. So when we go down there, I'm like, oh my gosh, and she's like, yeah, it's water. Congratulations. And she loves it, but that's how it is with the mountains here. People come like, oh my gosh, the mountains, and I'm like, yep, they've been there my whole life. But you got to realize that I guess I got to remember people haven't seen them before. It's fun to take people up the mountains for sure. Like it's fun to see their reactions. There's been countless people taking them up the mountains. They're like, oh my gosh. Because at least in my local area, I know some really like private spots that are really cool that like normal people want to know about. So it's pretty fun to. All right, guys, we're at 25,000, and I'm not seeing anything too remarkable yet or too great. I mean, million-mile trucks no longer fits into our fleet. This is what? 390. Wait, this can't. If this is true, this might. I don't know. I gotta look at this. They're claiming only 391,000 miles for this truck, and it's $26,000. What's the catch? It's international, some might say. But I mean, it's got what? 2012. Why are they not showing that side? Show me the passenger side. So I don't know why they're not showing the passenger side. I mean, I can't tell if looks like there's some damage here. But runs well, believes it's an injector. Injector's not the end of the world, depending on what motor it is. What motor is in here? Oh, it's international, so don't know about that one. Those aren't the greatest. Yeah, you definitely don't want to try truck through the mountains. I stay on the flatland out here on the plains. I take my personal vehicles up in the mountains. Drive through the mountains hauling cattle back to Greeley. I heard it's dangerous, so I'll probably just stay in the east side in Nebraska and Kansas a lot. Yeah, that's a better place, y'all. It is dangerous. I mean, for sure. Well, it's not just that, but you gotta like chain up going up I-70. You gotta constantly chain up. It's just a hassle, and it is pretty sketchy. I mean, it's just time consuming. And then the weather can turn on a dime, and then you got to get out and chain up, and then your chains break, so you got to rechain. You got to have a couple sets of chains to get over the pass. My brother-in-law, he drove over the pass like he drove over the pass like 2 or 3 times a week for like 7 or 8 years. And he got used to it, but it was just like, it's just so time consuming because you can't like go fast. You got to take your time, and then you're just constantly replacing those stupid chains, and they'll get you too. Like if you don't have chains on, man, oh my gosh, state patrol will be so far up you don't want that heat. No way. They don't play around when it comes to that. Let's see here. Trying to find some like a really good deal. But so on the low end spectrum, there's not a whole lot of good deals, and on the high end, there's not a whole lot of good deals. But in the middle of the market, there are some okay deals. Like we're still kind of seeing like the more affordable trucks are not anything I would mess with just because they're just real garbage. They don't look that great, or they have 1.5 million miles on them, over almost a million. So it looks to me like the middle of the market is where there's some relief at. It's not the low end. You're not going to find a decent truck for 30 grand, but you can find a pretty okay truck for about 50 or 60. And I know that sounds like a lot, but that was not the case months ago. And there's then there's the trucks that are 150,000 that aren't worth it at all. So that's my takeaway. Current truck market, it is going down slowly. It's not plummeting like a rock, but it's going down. Let me switch these screens here. Right, guys. So that's a little weekly update for you. My thoughts. Uh, there's trucks. There's trucks that are still for sale that were for sale last week, and maybe even a couple weeks prior to that. So that's good. So they're not moving. So price has to go somewhere, which is usually down for them to start moving. And I'm seeing more trucks online than like some new trucks are popping up that I'm seeing that I didn't see last week or couple weeks. I think last week that was when it was. You got a little confused on when I did the last live stream. So that's a good sign. There's not anything worth buying that's like really low prices, like 20-30,000. I wouldn't really mess with anything around there because guys are still trying to sell you their garbage for like way too high of prices. But in the middle of the market, there seems to be some relief. Not a lot, but there is some relief and some deals out there, like $50,000 to $60,000 range. There are some trucks that you probably wouldn't break the bank to buy them if you absolutely had to get a truck right now, or if you wanted to get into the game. You would be overpaying a little bit, but not so bad that it would be like catastrophic. So, and then you're always going to have your 100,000 plus dollar trucks are still overpriced. There's still plenty of trucks that are trying to sell for new truck prices for a used truck. I need to come up with a shirt or something, some slogan that is like used trucks for new truck prices. Because that's mostly what's happening in the higher markets is guys are selling used trucks for new truck prices. But it seems to be about the same as it was a week ago. But But like I said, slowly, steadily down is better than skyrocketing up. So, uh, let's see. Logan, I'll answer your question here. Would you ever move out of Colorado? Yeah, I maybe. Um, I like it here. I grew up here. Before it went so woke, like, but you got your counties, right? Like, you've got like out here, out east, you've got pretty like red counties. So I'd say you got, a lot more like-minded people, freedom, freedom loving people, patriots. Um, but then like you get over to like, the west side of I-25, like you got your Boulder, Denver, Longmont, and parts of Colorado Springs that just ruin it for the entire state. And there's a bunch of crazies out there that want they. The problem with Colorado is like everybody moves here from California, and then they don't realize like that what caused them to move out of California is the way they voted there, and they come here and vote the same way. So same thing you're seeing with Texas right now. Don't California my Texas. Well, they already Californiized Colorado in a lot of areas, unfortunately. So it's not all like they're not all from there, but so I would definitely move out. But like my business is here, and there's good work. Like there's less and less work for what I do here. It's kind of going to be going away in the next few years, but it's still pretty strong. I like to get a couple more years out of it. But yeah, man. Some family and friends are from Florida, and if I could find something to do other than trucking, I would love to move down to Florida. uh, I might not be able to handle the heat for a while, but I'll get used to it. Texas is okay. I wasn't too impressed, especially with what's happening now. You know, like Texas is not going to be the same place it was 5, 10 years ago. And it's funny because the place I really liked in Texas are like absolutely like no goes now, like Austin and Dallas. It's so expensive there that a lot of people move to Texas for affordability, right? And Austin's not. We had some family friends that were stationed down there, um, near Killeen, and that was a nice, okay area. But yeah, I liked Austin. Um, I don't know about now. Like this was 6, 7 years ago, so it's changed a lot. And I couple like 3 or 4 years ago, I went down to I like the north side of Dallas. Like Plano's really nice, but it's expensive, you know. So that's the takeoff. And like my work doesn't really exist there because there's not like a lot of oil field trucking going on. And then I probably wouldn't go to Kansas. I mean, unless I invest in a lot of real estate in Kansas, which um, that may or may not be something. Before this recent crash, I was looking at investing in Kansas pretty heavily in real estate. And if that was the case, and then I had some real estate in Kansas, I'd move there. But unless I had a bunch of real estate in that area, I wouldn't really go down there. And like Texas would be the same thing. If I had a lot of properties down in Texas, I would probably move there and then just manage my properties. Um, but I definitely need income, and trucking does that for me right now. So, but it's not like 100% of my income currently, if that makes sense. Yeah, Fort Worth is okay. It's all right. Um, you've been to that big steak plate, or that's an Amarillo. Never mind. Um, yeah, you probably can't. That's the problem with me is my job does not exist in Florida. Like I would love to move to Florida if I can make the same money I make here in Florida. Oh man, I would have moved there years ago. But its problem is that it doesn't exist, and the rates are not good out there for drivers. Like everybody that I know, because I've got some family and friends that are from Florida that are drivers, but guess what? They don't drive in Florida. They drive over the road. They just live in Florida because, well, 2 3 years ago, well, they're from Florida in the first place, so they grew up there. And 2 3 years ago, it was really cheap to live there. Now even Florida is getting expensive because everybody's moving there for obvious reasons. But yeah, I would. I wish I could figure out something to do down there. Maybe start a different type of business that can make money. Danilo, how little maintenance does the Rivian have? I know it has zero emissions. Man, it really, I mean, from what I understand, there's not a whole lot of maintenance on it because, it's electric. So I have to look at the service manual to see. That'd be a good video, actually. That's a good idea. I'm gonna make a video maybe on what maintenance is involved with the Rivian. Like, cause like all your gas powered, oil change over 3,000 miles, and then 30,000 miles, you start getting into like doing a lot more serviceable items. And I'm gonna be doing a 100,000 mile service on my F-150 here soon. So that's gonna be like spark plugs, coolant flush, belts, all that stuff. I had zero issues with the truck, by the way. I owned it since it was brand new, and I literally have had zero issues with it. And then, so yeah, that'd be an interesting video to see what the maintenance intervals are. And it does have zero emissions, except for the ones that are made to create the electricity to power it, which I'm not fooled. Trust me. I know well. I know dang well that an electric car is not truly zero emissions. I got it because it looked cool, and I pre-ordered it in 2018 because I don't know. I watched a video on it and I kind of liked it, so um, basically I kind of got hooked. But as far as like the vehicle itself emitting emissions, no, but it does use emissions because that electricity comes from somewhere. Colorado, all I ever wanted. Not too many people there. Rocky Mountains and beautiful outdoor nature. It still snows there and is really sunny, and there's cattle and livestock on it. Yeah, man. I don't know about not too many people because there's it's booming. I mean, it's growing like crazy. But yeah, it's a good place, man. I mean, that's why I'm still here. It's like we have family that's from Florida, and my girl's from Florida, and she would love nothing more than to move back there. But it's so I like it here enough currently, and as long as work still stays good, that I'm gonna stay here. But yeah, Colorado's good, man. It's expensive, and it's there's a lot of people. Trust me. Like you drive down to Denver and you're going to be shocked because there's a lot of people. It's the population has skyrocketed in like the last like 10 years. I mean it's been skyrocketing for like I feel like ever since I was a kid, it's just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. Like the town I grew up in uh had one Walmart. Okay, so I grew up in two different towns. One town was a small like farm town, and they had literally a couple neighborhoods like developments, and then once we moved there, now it's like there's multiple, like we're talking 20 30 housing divisions. There's multiple restaurants, multiple schools there now. And then the other town I lived in was a little bit bigger town, but when we moved there, it had one Walmart, like, and then like one Sonic drive-in, and it had one small little movie theater, and that was like the place to be, right? Was The Walmart was one of those small Walmarts, right? It wasn't a super center. It was like, like how the Kmart's looked before they went out of. I don't even know if they're still in business, but it was like the size of a Kmart. Uh, and we had a Kmart. There was a Kmart there though. So there was a Kmart, a Walmart, and then like your typical, like there was like a McDonald's, and then there was like one little hospital. Now there's like two or three hospitals. There's two Walmarts, super centers. There's a gigantic shopping mall and movie theater complex, and there's three schools, which was kind of crazy. There was always like three schools in my. So, anyways, my point is that it was real small, and then it grew so big, and we moved out east because we're like, hey, we don't like the big city at all. Um, do you think it'll be terrible to drive truck through Denver? My dad drives through Omaha, Nebraska a lot, which has a million people. Is the traffic in Denver is too bad? No, it just depends on time of day. Um, like so I run at night a lot. So I used to drive through Denver all the time, and it's not a big deal because it's at night, right? So 5 a.m., before 5 a.m. or after like 10 p.m., you're pretty good. It's just like any other major city. If you got to go through it, you got to go through it. Just try not to go through it during the rush hour, you know? Um, but no, it's not that bad. I'm just saying, like, don't think it's a real small place. Like, don't think there's not a whole lot of people here because there's a lot of people here. This has become a big freaking town. Like, Denver has grown. It's big, and then Fort Collins, either all the way down to Colorado Springs, like it's huge. Like it's a lot bigger than South Dakota for sure. But no, I wouldn't dread driving through there. Um, I just would try not to do it during rush hour is all. And it's still not like as bad as like these like big like it's not as bad as like the big cities. It's still pretty okay to get through. Like even rush hour, you can get through Denver in like an hour, maybe an hour and a half. Where like a lot of these other rush hour places, it might take a few hours. Logan, South Dakota, or yeah, Omaha, Nebraska ain't nothing, man. Sorry. Yeah, you said, oh yeah, dude, Omaha, Nebraska is nothing. I mean, I'll drive through Omaha, Nebraska any day of the week. I'm not even worried if it is during rush hour. But yeah, Denver is it's big. It's a big place, but it's not too bad. You'll be all right. If you gotta drive through there, just try to. I mean, you guys haul at night, right? Like so, if I haul that you guys haul, I just run at night, and I see a lot of bull haulers at night. So if you're running at night, you're good, man. You're golden if you're running at night. That's what I do. I just stay out east, so I don't go through the major cities too awful much. We used to go down to a refinery in Denver all the time, but at night it's not that bad. And it's on the east side, so you can come in from 70, 76. You didn't have to come in from I-25. You didn't have to. All right, guys. It was nice. Let's see. Who's in the field up in Wyoming? Well, I don't know, man. Uh, there's I used to be up there all the time, but not for a couple of years. I don't know if anybody up here is in the field up there. Right, guys. Thanks for joining me on this one, and gonna try to do these more frequently if I can, but we're gonna be getting busy here soon, and I might not be able to do these every week, but I'm gonna try to do this more often. Try to get the numbers up. You know, I like when a lot of people get in here. We have a lot of discussion. Logan, it was great talking to you, and um, Throwing Shop. Hey man, thanks for tuning into the live stream. But this thing's about over, man. So you're up in Wyoming. That's awesome. I'm sure there's a bunch of guys. I'm sure I have a couple followers that are in Wyoming, but I'm not too sure of like how many. But all right, guys. Thanks for joining me on this one, and all right, Throwing Shop. Sounds good, man. I should join me in the next live stream, or send me some comments down below. I don't know any drivers currently that are really looking for jobs. Everybody I know has got jobs, and they're doing pretty good. I don't have a huge friend circle, so. But all right, guys, thanks for joining me. Let's try to do this in about a week or so. Logan, I hear you. That's it. I'm sure that is great. Like I love rolling through towns in the middle of the night. That's my favorite time to be rolling through towns. But have a good one out there, everybody, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for joining me.